The silence is a pressure against your eardrums. It's a physical thing, a weight forged in the deep, cold dark, and pressed down into this cavern of polished, black stone. You run a gloved hand along the wall beside you, its surface unnaturally smooth, cool as a riverbed in winter. The only light comes from the ghostly green glow of fungal patches clinging to the curving expanse. They're soft, rhythmic pulsing, like the slow breath of a sleeping god. Each pulse sends lazy, distorted shadows sliding across the floor. The air is thick, damp, carrying the scent of wet earth, stone, and something else, the faint mineral tang of decay, of time itself breaking down. In the center of the vast chamber, a structure rises. It is not built, but grown and then petrified. Fused, dark stone spirals upward in a chaotic yet strangely organic form, like the fossilized heart of some leviathan from a forgotten age. It hums. You feel it more than you hear it. A low, resonant vibration that travels up from the soles of your worn combat boots, through your bones, settling deep in your chest. It's a constant, physical reminder of where you are, in the guts of something ancient and powerful. This is the place, the subchantry of echoes, a name whispered in encrypted data streams and scrawled on the back of stim patches in the grimiest dens of the gutter's embrace. Finding it cost you 2 favors owed to a data broker with chrome eyes and a smile like a crack in porcelain, and a third, more significant insight gifted to a guild of tunnel scavvers. The sovereign debt is a chain around everyone's neck, and yours feels particularly heavy tonight. Your goal is here, somewhere within this silent monument, the Chronometer of Whispers. You take a step forward, the soft scuff of your boot, the only sound to challenge the eternal drip of unseen moisture from the high, vaulted ceiling. A single drop strikes a pool somewhere in the darkness, the sound echoing with perfect clarity. A tiny silver bell rung in a cathedral of silence. You circle the central structure, your gaze scanning, searching. The client's brief was specific. A corporate data breach of unprecedented scale at Ethelred Consortium. Terabytes of proprietary research, personnel files, encrypted project schematics gone, vanished into the digital ether. They want it back, and they want the thief. They paid you not in favors, but in hard, untraceable script, enough to clear your debts and disappear for a cycle if you wanted. But the money is secondary, a lie you tell yourself. The truth is coiled in your gut like a cold snake. The breach originated from a terminal registered to Kale. Your Kale. Dead 6 months now. The official report said it was a system feedback loop during a routine maintenance dive. A tragic accident. You never believed it. His ghost has followed you through every rain-slicked street, every neon-drenched alley. This job isn't about script. It's about answers. It's about atonement. Your fingers brush against a small, hard object in your pocket. A tarnished silver lighter. Kale's. You don't smoke. You keep it because the worn, smooth metal is the closest you can get to holding his hand now. You pull it out, the thumb-worn groove of familiar comfort. You flick the cap open. The soft click is an obscenity in the silence. You don't strike it, just the feel of it, the memory of Kale's easy laugh as he'd light a cheap synth cigarette, the flame reflecting in his eyes. He told you it was his lucky charm. You spot it then. A small alcove carved into the base of the petrified structure, almost perfectly concealed by a spiraling buttress of stone. The air around it seems to shimmer, the fungal light warping as it passes. You approach slowly, every sense on high alert. The hum is stronger here, a palpable thrum against your skin. Inside the alcove, resting on a bed of what looks like spun, black glass, is a crystal. It's no bigger than your fist, multifaceted, its surface shifting with an internal, milky light. It seems to drink the green glow of the fungi and reflect something else entirely. The Chronometer of Whispers. It looks incomplete and dangerous. You reach for it, your gloved fingers hesitating just above its surface. The client's warning echoes in your mind. It doesn't show you the past. It makes you feel it. You brace yourself, your breath held tight in your lungs, and close your hand around the crystal. Its surface is unnervingly smooth, slick, almost liquid to the touch. And then it happens. It's not a vision. It's a plunge, cold, the biting cold of a server room, the Arctic blast of coolant fans, the smell of ozone and hot metal, the rhythmic clatter of a magnetic lock cycling open. Not your memory, someone else's. A flash of terror, sharp and acidic. The feeling of being watched. A shadow detaches from the deeper shadows behind a server bank. You know, the person whose memory this is try to scream, but the air is stolen from your lungs. A whisper close to your ear, a voice synthesized and smooth, yet laced with a chilling static. The loom weaves for us all little thread. Some are meant to be woven, others are meant to be cut. Then a flare of agony, not a blade, not a bullet, a feeling of being unwritten, a data spike of pure, corrosive information flooding your neural pathways. Kale's face flashes before your mind's eye, your memory, not the crystals, his expression, one of desperate warning from his last comm call. The one you missed, laughter, low and resonant. A man's silhouette against a bank of monitors, his face obscured. He holds up a hand, and the deep currents of data on the screens ripple and shift, bending to his will. A tight sculptor. The crystal's impressions recede, leaving you gasping, kneeling on the cold stone floor of the chantry. The crystal in your hand is warm now, humming with a faint energy. Your heart is a frantic drum against your ribs. That wasn't just a random echo of the breach. That was the thief. That was the moment they stole the data. That was the moment they murdered the sysadmin on duty. And that whisper, the loom, a concept only the deepest data miners and code philosophers talked about, a metaphorical framework of causality, the idea that all actions are threads, woven into a tapestry of consequence. To speak of cutting a thread was to speak of ending a life, of erasing a possibility. This was more than a corporate thief. This was someone who saw themselves as a master of fate. You clutch the chronometer tightly, the smooth facets pressing into your palm. You have your first thread. Now you just have to follow it, no matter where it leads. You rise to your feet, the silence of the chamber no longer feeling profound, but predatory. The hunt has begun. The transition from the deep, primal silence of the subchantry to the chaotic symphony of the gutter's embrace is always a shock. You emerge from a service tunnel into a narrow alley, and the world slams into you. The air is thick with the smells of sizzling synth protein from a street vendor's cart, stale synthale from a nearby bar, and the ever-present damp rot of the lower city. Rain, a perpetual, grimy drizzle, mists down from the unseen sky level, making the neon signs of the storefronts bleed and shimmer on the wet permacrete. The low, resonant hum of the district is here, too, 100-fold louder. The thrum of power conduits, maglev rails, and the city's massive atmospheric processors vibrating through the ground. You pull the hood of your synth leather jacket further over your head, melting into the throng of bodies that press through the streets. Drones buzz overhead like metallic insects, their searchlights cutting cones through the mist. Enforcers, clad in black, rigid armor, patrol in pairs, their faces obscured by polarized visors. They are Ethelred Consortium's private army, the keepers of this corporate-owned district, and their presence is a constant, low-grade threat. Your destination is a small corner shop tucked between a synth-limb chop shop and a noodle bar. The sign above the door is an old, flickering hologram of a willow tree, its branches weaving into a circle. The Woven Willow Inn. It's a data haven, a semi-legal information brokerage, and the closest thing you have to a home. You push through the door. A chime, a real, physical bell, announces your arrival. The chaotic noise of the street is instantly muted, replaced by the quiet hum of servers and the gentle scent of brewed chai and old paper. The main room is small, cluttered with shelves of ancient, hard copy books, discarded pieces of tech, and comfortable, worn-out armchairs. It is a pocket of anachronistic calm in the heart of the storm. The wraith returns from the shadows, a voice says, smooth and calm, with the barest hint of digital synthesis. It comes from everywhere and nowhere at once. You are tracking grime across my floorboards. You look toward the counter at the back of the room. A single cup of steaming tea sits there, waiting. There's no one behind it. Hello, Amelia, you say, pulling back your hood. You walk to the counter, your boots leaving damp prints on the polished wood. Your sovereign debt has increased. Amelia Iron's voice continues. The tunnel scavers have already registered your payment of insight. They seem pleased. Apparently, your information on the structural weaknesses of the old sewer conduits was profitable. Glad I could help. You pick up the warm ceramic cup. The tea is perfect, as always. Amelia Iron is the soul of this place, quite literally. The lingering consciousness of the original owner, uploaded into the inn's mainframe before her physical body gave out decades ago. She is a ghost in the machine, her awareness extending to every sensor, every terminal, every dust mote within these four walls. She is your foil, your confidant, and the keeper of your few remaining secrets. Her goal is simple: to maintain the comfort of the Woven Willow Inn. Your chaotic life is a constant threat to that comfort. You found it, she states. It's not a question. A small scanner drone, no bigger than your thumb, detaches from the ceiling and hovers near your jacket pocket, bathing it in a soft blue light. You place the chronometer on the counter. It looks inert now, just a milky, multifaceted stone. I did. It's talkative. The energy signature is unstable. It resonates with residual psychic imprints. Holding it for too long can lead to mnemonic contamination. In layman's terms, you'll start confusing your memories with those of dead people. Good to know. You take a long sip of the tea, the warmth chasing away some of the chantry's chill. I got a whisper. The thief, they call themselves a tide sculptor, talked about the loom. They killed a sysadmin during the breach with some kind of neural data spike. Amelia goes silent. For her, a full second of silence is an eternity of processing. The drone returns to the ceiling. Tide sculptor, that is not a common handle. It implies control over large-scale data flows, the currents of the global net. And the loom, a dangerous philosophy. It's the kind of self-aggrandizing metaphor people use to justify atrocity. The laughter, you say, your voice low. I felt it. They enjoyed it. The control. You finish the tea and place the cup down. Your hand instinctively goes to your pocket, to the familiar shape of Kale's lighter. You feel a familiar pang of guilt, sharp and insistent. You were supposed to be his backup on that last run. He was diving a corporate server farm, chasing a lead for a story he was breaking. Nothing dangerous, he'd said. A simple in and out. He'd calmed you, just one call. You saw it light up your HUD, and you ignored it. You were 3 drinks deep into a synthale binge at a dive bar, trying to drown the memory of a previous failed job. By the time you sobered up and called back, there was only static. The official report came the next day. A feedback loop, an accident. You look at the chronometer. This tide sculptor was at the Ethelred breach. Kale was investigating Ethelred. The threads are there, tangled and bloody, but they're there. Ethelred Consortium uses proprietary sonic dampening technology throughout the district, Amelia says, her voice pulling you from the mire of your thoughts. Their security is layered and absolute. Any attempt to access their internal network from the outside will be detected. The file you seek, the complete, unredacted report on Kale's death, is locked in their central server, the core. Infiltrating it directly is suicide. I'm not going for the core. Not yet, you say, your eyes fixed on the crystal. This tide sculptor left a trail. The whisper I felt, it was strong. They were arrogant. They must have left other traces, other echoes. I need to find another place they've been. Someplace significant. Someplace I can use this. You tap the chronometer. Your logic is sound, Amelia concedes. But you are assuming the thief is still in the gutter's embrace. An operative of that skill could be anywhere. No, you say, a cold certainty settling in your stomach. They're here. This felt personal. They're not just after data. They're building something. The way the whisper described it, sculpting. They need Ethelred's resources. You need a lead, a name, a location. something more than a ghost of a whisper. The criminal underworld of the gutters embrace operates on favors and information. The sovereign debt. You have script, but some doors only open to the right kind of obligation. There's a data lender named Silas Cleft, you say, thinking aloud. Operates out of the boiler rooms beneath the Elysian arcade. He deals in volatile information, the kind that gets people killed. He owes me a favor. A major one, Amelia's voice reminds you. You saved him from a scrapper gang that wanted to harvest his optical implants. Cashing in that favor is a significant move. Are you certain? You think of the whisper, the cold laughter, the flash of Kale's face. Certainty is a fire in your veins. I am. He will not make it easy, Amelia warns. Men like Silas Cleft resent their debts. He will give you what you owe, but he will extract a price if he can. Everyone tries to extract a price, you murmur, pushing away from the counter. It's the way of the world. You slide the chronometer back into a lead-lined pouch in your jacket. As you turn to leave, Amelia's voice stops you. Be cautious, she says, and for a moment, the synthesized edge to her voice softens, becoming something almost human, almost maternal. The threads of the loom can become a noose if you pull on them too carelessly. You nod, not turning back. You step out of the woven willow inn, the bell chiming your departure, and the roaring, rain-slicked chaos of the gutters embrace swallows you whole once more. The hunt for a ghost has begun, and you can already feel the cold weight of the past settling on your shoulders. The Elysian arcade is a 3-story cacophony of failing tech and desperate escapism. The air is soupy with body heat, ozone from cracked monitor screens, and the sweet, cloying smoke of narco incense. Holographic advertisements flicker and glitch, promising digital heavens, while the gamblers and joyriders below stare with vacant eyes into the glow of their consoles, their faces pale masks of concentration or despair. The ubiquitous hum of the district is almost lost here beneath the layered din of simulated gunfire, chiptune music, and the hollow laughter of those who have lost everything but their last credit. You navigate the grimy, crowded floor, your senses on high alert. This is the kind of place where a quick hand can lift your script, and a misplaced glance can earn you a knife in the ribs. You keep to the shadows, a wraith in the neon glow, your movements fluid and economical. Your destination is not on the main floors, but below, in the guts of the building. A narrow, unmarked door behind a bank of perpetually broken racing simulators leads to a steep metal staircase. The air grows hotter, heavier, thick with the smell of hot oil and steam. The noise of the arcade fades, replaced by the rhythmic, deafening clang and hiss of the building's ancient boilers. Down here, the world is a maze of sweating pipes, flickering maintenance lights, and deep, encroaching shadows. You find Silas Cleft in his office, a small, caged-off area surrounded by colossal, groaning machinery. He's a small, wiry man, his face a roadmap of scars. His eyes are the reason you're here. They are custom-built chrome implants, military-grade optics capable of seeing in multiple spectra, and interfacing directly with raw data streams. He sits at a metal desk, cluttered with wires and dismantled tech, a single bare bulb overhead casting him in harsh relief. He looks up as you approach, his chrome eyes whirring softly as they focus on you. There's no surprise in his expression, only a sour resignation. "Wraith," he rasps, his voice like gravel grinding together. "I figured you'd come crawling back into my life eventually. The debt doesn't shrink with time. It's time to pay it, Silas," you say, your voice even. You stop just outside the caged door. He controls the lock. He leans back in his chair, a smirk playing on his thin lips. Just like that. No pleasantries. No asking about my health after your last heroic intervention. He gestures to his face. The scrappers weren't gentle. This debt cost me a new dermal weave. "I'm looking for information," you cut in, ignoring the bait. "A name, an operative, calls themselves the Tide Sculptor, deals in large-scale data manipulation, has a philosophical bent, talks about the loom." Silas's smirk vanishes. His chrome eyes narrow, the irises contracting to pinpricks. The casual hostility in his posture tightens into something sharp, something that might be fear. "That's not a name you whisper in a place like this," he says, his voice dropping. "That's the kind of name that gets boiler rooms like this vented into a vacuum." "You know it then." "I know of it," he corrects, his gaze darting into the shadows as if expecting something to emerge. "It's not a person. It's a ghost story data runners tell their apprentices to scare them. A legend. They say the Tide Sculptor can reroute the core streams of the net, erase companies, rewrite financial histories, cause continental blackouts with a few keystrokes. This ghost story just pulled the score of the century on Ethelred Consortium, you say. And they left a body. I need a trail, Silas. Anything. A server they favored, a darknet forum they frequented, a piece of code they left behind. You see things others don't. Pay your debt." He stares at you for a long moment, the whirring of his eyes, the only sound besides the groaning machinery. He's weighing the cost. Giving you this information could put him in the crosshairs of someone far more dangerous than a scrapper gang. But refusing to pay a sovereign debt of this magnitude would mark him for death in the gutter's embrace. Your reputation, the neon wraith, ensures the debt will be collected, one way or another. He sighs, a ragged, defeated sound. "Damn you, Wraith." He turns to a terminal on his desk, his fingers flying across the holographic keys, his eyes glowing faintly as he interfaces with his own private network. "This is going to cost me more than just clearing the slate with you. Get on with it." Arrogance. That's the flaw of all these self-proclaimed gods of the net, Silas mutters, his eyes darting back and forth as he sifts through mountains of data. They always leave a signature, a flourish, a piece of code so elegant, so unique, they can't resist using it again. He stops. His body goes rigid. "There," he whispers, "a few months ago. A ghost intrusion into the port authorities' shipping manifests, a massive rerouting of drone freighters, caused chaos for a week. Nobody could figure out how it was done. But the code, it has the same signature. A recursive algorithm that hides its own processes by mimicking background system noise. It's beautiful and terrifying. Where you press, the intrusion was traced to a single physical node, Silas says, his voice tight. A relay station in the old maintenance tunnels beneath the Tidewater district. Section Gamma 7. Abandoned for years. No one goes down there. The system is still active, but it's isolated. That's it. A physical location. A place where the tide sculptor was, where they touched the physical world. A place where the chronometer might find an echo. Thank you, Silas, you say, turning to leave. Your debt is paid. Wait, he calls out, his voice strained. He's swiveling in his chair to face you, his chrome eyes wide. The data I'm seeing, the intrusion at the Port Authority. It happened on the same day the official report was filed for your partner. Kale. He swallows hard. The time stamps are less than an hour apart. The air in the boiler room suddenly feels thin, hard to breathe. The rhythmic clanging of the machinery sounds like a death knell. Kale. The threads aren't just tangled, they're woven together. What are you getting into, Wraith? Silas asks, a note of genuine concern in his gravelly voice. This isn't about a corporate data breach, is it? You don't answer. You turn and walk away, leaving him in his cage of metal and light. You climb the stairs, the heat and noise pressing in on you, but you don't feel it. All you feel is a block of ice forming in your chest. The tide sculptor, Ethelred, Kale's death, they're all part of the same pattern, the same tapestry. And you're starting to feel like you're not the one doing the weaving. You're just a puppet, and someone else is pulling the strings. The entrance to the Tidewater maintenance tunnels is a corroded iron grate set into the floor of a derelict fish market. The air that rises from it is thick with the brine of the nearby sea and the chemical stench of industrial runoff. You pry it open with a crowbar, the screech of rusted metal setting your teeth on edge, and descend into the darkness on a ladder slick with algae. Down here, the city's hum is a distant, muffled drone. The primary sound is the steady drip, drip, drip of water, and the faint, mournful sigh of wind whistling through the labyrinthine passages. Your boots splash in ankle-deep, stagnant water that smells of salt and decay. The only light is the narrow beam of your headlamp, cutting a swathe through the oppressive blackness, revealing walls weeping with moisture and cables, as thick as your arm sagging from the ceiling like dead pythons. You check the schematics Amelia uploaded to your HUD. Section Gamma 7 is deep inside, a forgotten spur of the network. As you move deeper, the air grows colder, the silence more profound. It's a tomb, a place for secrets to be buried. You find the relay station after nearly an hour of navigating the maze. It's a small, reinforced room, the door slightly ajar. A single, flickering emergency light inside casts long, dancing shadows. Your hand rests on the grip of the kinetic pistol, holstered at your side. You push the door open and step inside. The room is Spartan. A single terminal and chair, banks of servers lining one wall, all of them dark and silent, save for a few blinking status indicators. Dust coats every surface, thick and undisturbed, except for one area. The floor in front of the terminal, the chair, the console itself. They're clean. Someone was here. You pull the chronometer from its pouch. It feels cool in your hand, dormant. You need to give it a focal point. You walk to the terminal, your gaze sweeping the console. There. A faint smudge on the screen. A partial handprint. You place the chronometer directly over it, your fingers wrapping around the cool crystal. You close your eyes and take a breath, bracing for the plunge. The echo hits you like a physical blow, stronger than the last one. The frantic, percussive tapping of keys. A cascade of code scrolling down the monitor, elegant and impossibly fast. The feeling is not of terror, but of exhilaration. A righteous, burning fury. The person at this terminal is on a mission. A voice, their own, muttered aloud. They can't hide it. They can't just erase him. I'll make them answer for it. It's a young voice, female, strained with grief and rage. A new sensation floods in, the chronometer picking up a second, overlapping echo. The memory of the tide sculptor, who was also here. The same feeling of power, of control. The same low, synthesized laughter you felt before. But this time, there's a flicker of something else. Annoyance, surprise. The tide sculptor's whisper echoes in the memory space. Another little thread pulling at the weave. An unforeseen complication. No matter. All loose ends can be snipped. The first memory surges back to the forefront. The young woman at the terminal. She succeeds in her task. The port authority data is rerouted. It's a distraction, a proof of concept. She downloads a small, heavily encrypted file from the same server she used to launch the attack. A single word flashes on the screen before it's wiped. Cipher. Then, a new feeling. The sickening lurch of being discovered. An alarm not audible, but a silent flag in the system. She grabs a small data chip, shoves it into her pocket, and flees, terror replacing her fury. The echo ends with the sound of her ragged breathing and running footsteps echoing down the tunnel. You stumble back, gasping, the chronometer falling from your hand and clattering on the metal floor. You lean against a server bank, your head spinning. Two people, two ghosts were in this room, the tide sculptor and someone else, an investigator, a revenger, someone who was also looking into Kale's death. They can't just erase him, she'd said. You kneel and pick up the chronometer. The implications are staggering. The tide sculptor wasn't the one who attacked the port authority. The girl was. The tide sculptor was merely observing, or perhaps cleaning up after her. She was sloppy. She left a trail that Silas cleft, and now you have followed. You're not hunting one person. You're in the middle of a war between two phantoms. And one of them, the girl, is your key. She downloaded a cipher, a key to unlocking encrypted data. Data about Kale. You have a new target, not the tide sculptor, not yet. He's too big, too shadowy. You need to find the girl. She is the thread you can actually grasp. But how do you find a ghost who knows she's being hunted? You look around the room again, your eyes sharper now, searching for anything the memory didn't show you. Your gaze falls on the floor near the leg of the chair. Something small, almost lost in the grime. You crouch, plucking it from the floor. It's a small vial, no bigger than your thumb, made of dark, smoky glass. Inside, a small amount of viscous, luminescent fluid sloshes, casting a faint, sickly green light on your glove. It's identical to the vial you saw in the background of a news report about Kale's accident lying near the scene. You dismissed it as irrelevant debris. A mistake. This changes everything. She wasn't just investigating. She was there. Or she found this at the scene. This vial is a clue, and it's a liability. If the Tide Sculptor is cleaning up loose ends, they'll be looking for her. And now, for you. You pocket the vial, the weight of it a cold dread in your gut. You came down here looking for a ghost, and found two. You need to get back to the Woven Willow. You need Amelia's help to analyze this fluid. And you need a drink. A real one. Strong enough to drown out the whispers of the dead that are now echoing in your own mind. The gutter's embrace has 1,000 places to drown your sorrows, and you know them all intimately. You bypass the brighter, cleaner establishments where off-duty Ethelred execs sip their expensive synth wines. You crave the opposite, the grime, the authenticity of despair. You end up at the Dreg, a hole-in-the-wall dive bar pressed into the foundations of a massive habitation block. The air inside is a physical assault, a wall of stale smoke, unwashed bodies, spilled synthale, and the sharp, antiseptic tang of the cleaning fluid that never quite gets the filth out of the floor. The light is dim, mostly the flickering reds and blues of the bar's cracked signage. It's a place for people who have nothing left to lose, a perfect place to hide and to forget. You slide onto a stool at the sticky bar, the cheap plastic groaning under your weight. Rictus, you grumble to the bartender, a hulking man with a face like a collapsed building. He grunts, and a moment later, a glass of amber liquid is slammed down in front of you. Rictus Special. It's potent enough to strip paint, brewed in a rusty tub somewhere in the back. It's exactly what you need. The first swallow is fire, a raw chemical burn that scours your throat and blossoms into a dull, welcome warmth in your chest. The jagged edges of your thoughts begin to soften. The echoes from the chronometer, the image of Kale's face, the cold dread from the vial in your pocket, they all recede, pushed back by the intoxicating haze. You're supposed to be on a stakeout. Amelia, after analyzing the luminescent fluid, had found a match. It contained a unique biological marker, a retrovirus used in illegal gene splicing clinics. She traced the specific strain to a single purveyor, a back alley doctor who operated out of a clinic not 2 blocks from here. The girl with the cipher, your new target, would have to go to him for more, or to get information about its origin. Amelia had flagged the doctor's known associates. One of them, a low-level data runner named Finn, frequented this bar. Your plan was simple. Watch Finn, wait for him to make contact with the girl, and then follow her. You take another long pull of the rictus. One drink, you told yourself, just to take the edge off. But the first drink only reminds you how much you need a second. Your flaw, your weakness, this gnawing emptiness that only the bottle seems to fill. It's the same emptiness that made you miss Kale's last call. The guilt is a physical thirst. You're on your third glass when you see him. Finn, a twitchy scarecrow of a man with cheap, glitching cybernetics around his left eye. He slides into a booth in the corner, his gaze constantly sweeping the room. He's nervous. He's waiting for someone. This is it. Your cue to be sharp, to be the neon wraith. But the rictus has sunk its claws deep. The room feels slow, syrupy. The raucous laughter from a nearby table sounds distant, distorted. Your focus is a slippery thing, hard to hold on to. You order another drink. A mistake. You know it's a mistake the moment the glass touches your lips. Through the haze, you see her. She slips into the booth across from Finn, a small, lithe figure in a dark, hooded coat, just like you. Her face is obscured by shadows. They speak in low, urgent tones. You can't make out the words over the bar's din and the buzzing in your own head. You should move, get closer. But your limbs feel heavy, anchored to the stool. Finn slides a data chip across the table. She takes it. This is the exchange, your moment to act. She stands up, turns, and for a split second, her face is illuminated by a passing holographic ad. She's young, frightened, and her eyes, you recognize those eyes. You've seen them in old photographs on Kale's datapad. It's Lena, Kale's younger sister. The shock cuts through the alcoholic fog like a shard of glass. Lena, of course. The rage, the grief, the desperate need for answers, it all makes sense. She's not just some random player. She's family. But the realization comes a fraction of a second too late. Your reaction time, normally razor sharp, is dulled, sluggish. You push yourself off the stool, knocking it over with a clatter. Every head in the bar turns to you. Lena's eyes lock with yours. There's a flash of recognition, of panic. She doesn't know you, not really, but she knows who you are. The partner, the one who wasn't there. She bolts. "Hey," you shout, your voice thick. You shove through the crowd, bodies parting before you with curses and angry shoves. You burst out into the alley, the cold, drizzling rain a shock to your system. The alley is empty. She's gone, vanished into the labyrinthine streets of the gutter's embrace. Your heart hammers against your ribs, a frantic, sickening rhythm of failure. You lean against the brick wall, the world tilting around you. On the grimy ground where she was standing, something glints. You stumble over and pick it up. The vial of luminescent fluid. She must have dropped it. Footsteps. Heavy, rhythmic. Not the panicked scuffle of a fleeing girl. The confident, synchronized tread of armor. Two Ethelred enforcers round the corner of the alley, their helmet-mounted optics glowing a predatory red. They see you, leaning against the wall, looking disheveled, a vial of illegal biomatter in your hand. "Hold it right there, scum," the lead enforcer barks, his voice a metallic rasp from his helmet speaker. He raises his pulse rifle, the barrel aimed squarely at your chest. Your mind, still clouded by the rictus, struggles to catch up. This is bad. This is a catastrophic failure. You lost the suspect, you lost the cipher, and you've drawn the attention of the very people you've been trying to avoid. Your indulgence didn't just cost you a lead. It's put your entire investigation, your entire life in jeopardy. You have a choice. Surrender and be erased in an Ethelred black site, or fight. The choice is never really a choice at all. You drop the vial, letting it shatter on the ground, the glowing fluid splashing across the permacrete. In the moment of distraction, as their optics track the light, you move. You slam your body backward, using the wall as a springboard, launching yourself toward the opposite side of the alley. A burst of plasma sizzles through the air where you were standing, striking the brick with a deafening crack, sending superheated fragments flying. You hit the opposite wall, scramble up a rusted fire escape, your alcohol-heavy limbs screaming in protest. Another shot sears the air past your head, close enough for you to feel the heat. You don't look back. You just climb, the metallic taste of fear and cheap synthale coating your tongue. You are the neon wraith, a ghost in the machine. But tonight, you are a clumsy, stumbling ghost, and the hunters are closing in. You run, not with the silent grace of a wraith, but with the ragged, desperate panic of cornered prey. The synthale churns in your stomach, a toxic stew of regret and nausea. Your lungs burn. Your muscles, usually coiled springs of latent energy, feel like lead. You vault over rooftop ventilation units, slide down rain-slicked conduits, and plunge into the deeper, darker arteries of the gutter's embrace. The enforcers are relentless. Their communications, a clipped, professional chatter on the encrypted channels you monitor through your auditory implants. They're coordinating, cutting off your escape routes, boxing you in. You finally find a temporary sanctuary in the underbelly of a maglev track, clinging to a maintenance gantry as a train screams overhead, its passage shaking the entire structure and masking your heat signature for a precious few seconds. You hang there, your breath coming in ragged gasps, the city a dizzying panorama of neon and shadow below. The failure is a physical weight crushing you. Lena. It was Lena, Kale's sister. You didn't just lose a lead, you terrified a grieving girl who is in over her head and holds the key to everything. You confirmed her worst fears, that everyone connected to Kale is a threat. And you did it because you couldn't resist the siren song of the bottle, the temporary oblivion you crave to escape your own guilt. Amelia's voice, filtered and calm, crackles in your ear. Your biometric signs are erratic. Adrenaline and blood alcohol levels are dangerously high. The local enforcer net is alive with your description. You have been designated a person of interest in an illegal biomaterials incident. You cannot return to the inn. It is compromised. I know, you gasp, your knuckles white as you grip the gantry. I screwed up, Amelia. I saw her. The informant. It's Kale's sister. A pause, longer than usual. An entire 3 seconds of silence from the machine ghost. This complicates the emotional calculus of your mission, she finally says, her synthesized voice betraying nothing. It also raises the stakes exponentially. She is not merely a key. She is a legacy. Tell me something I don't know, you rasp, pulling yourself onto the gantry. You crawl into a service hatch and find yourself in a cramped, dark crawl space, the roar of the maglevs, a constant thunder above you. You're safe, for now. The vial you dropped, Amelia continues, her tone clinical again. My remote sensors managed a partial scan before it was destroyed. The retrovirus it contained is a highly specialized variant. It is designed to bond with specific genetic markers, rewriting cellular structures to be more receptive to exotic energy signatures. What does that mean? It means the targets of this biomaterial are not random. Someone is seeking out individuals with a very specific genetic predisposition. The data breach at Ethelred, perhaps it was not to steal research, but to acquire a database, a list of potential candidates. The cold dread from the tunnel returns, intensified. This is bigger than a murder, bigger than corporate espionage. People are being targeted, hunted, changed. For what? You close your eyes, the darkness of the crawlspace absolute. The tide sculptor. Sculpting what? Tides of data? Or tides of humanity itself? You think of his arrogant whisper, the feeling of power you'd sensed through the chronometer. He isn't just controlling data flows. He's planning something on a biological level. Ethelred Consortium's main research and development tower, the Spire, Amelia says. It is the most secure building in the district. It is also where their primary genetic research labs are located. If the stolen data was a list of names, the Spire is where they would be processed. It is the logical nexus of this conspiracy. It's a fortress, you counter. You said it yourself. Suicide to try a direct assault. Direct assault is a blunt instrument, Amelia replies. You are a precision tool, a wraith. The enforcer sweep will be focused on the lower levels, on the streets. They will not expect an attack on their heart. Arrogance is a flaw you can exploit. It is also a flaw you share. The barb is delivered with her usual placid tone, but it hits its mark. She's right. Your indulgence, your arrogance in thinking you could handle the rictus and the stakeout, had led to this disaster. But the same qualities that make you reckless also make you unpredictable. The enforcers will be hunting a common street criminal. They won't be looking for someone crazy enough to aim for the Spire. I need a way in, you say, your voice hardening. The alcoholic haze is burning off, replaced by the cold fire of purpose. The shame of your failure is a powerful fuel. I have been re-examining the Spire's public schematics since our last conversation, Amelia says. There is a theoretical vulnerability, a maintenance conduit for the building's sonic dampening field generator. It runs from a substation 3 blocks from your current position and terminates near the generator itself on the 80th floor. The conduit is small, shielded, and should not register on internal sensors if your energy signature is kept to a minimum. It's a long shot. It is the only shot you have, she states. The alternative is to be captured or to flee the district, leaving Lena to face the tide sculptor alone. You will need to acquire a new set of climbing gear and bypass the substation's security. I can assist with the latter, but the acquisition of equipment will require resources. The script from the Ethelred job, you say. You still have half of the initial payment on a secure chip. There's a black market tech dealer, Jax, who operates out of the scrap heaps. He sells military-grade gear, no questions asked. A wise choice, Amelia confirms. He holds no allegiance to the corporate entities, and his sovereign debt slate is clean. A pure mercenary. Be swift. The citywide alert will have even bottom feeders like Jack's on edge. A plan, a desperate, insane plan, but a plan nonetheless. You crawl out of the service hatch, back onto the gantry. The city sprawls below you, a glittering, rain-swept carpet of light and shadow. Down there, Lena is running, scared and alone. The enforcers are hunting you. And somewhere, high in his corporate tower, the tide sculptor is moving his pieces into place, weaving his grand, terrible design. You look down at your hands. They're shaking, but not from the alcohol anymore. It's from the adrenaline, from the cold, sharp focus that has finally returned. You failed. You indulged your weakness and fell. But you're still here. You can still make this right. You have to, for Kale. And now, for Lena. You pull out the tarnished silver lighter. You flick it open, and this time you strike it. The flame sputters to life, a small, defiant point of warmth in the cold, wet night. It reflects in your eyes, and in its tiny heart, you see the path forward, not a path of atonement anymore, a path of justice. You snap the lighter shut, the flame vanishing as quickly as it came, and begin your descent into the scrap heaps. The hunt is back on. The scrap heaps are a jagged mountain range of urban detritus, a testament to the city's relentless cycle of consumption and waste. Rusting vehicle chassis, skeletal remains of buildings, and tangled guts of discarded technology rise in precarious towers toward the perpetually gray sky. The air is acrid with the smell of burnt plastic and metallic corrosion. This is Jax's kingdom. You find him in his workshop, a hollowed-out fuselage of a derelict cargo hauler, lit by the harsh blue-white glare of a welding torch. Jax is more machine than man, his arms powerful cybernetic prosthetics, his face a collection of optical sensors and breathing filters. He looks up from the piece of machinery he's working on, the torch extinguishing with a hiss. Wraith, his voice is a synthesized growl, amplified by his vocabulator. Causing trouble again. Heard the enforcers are tearing the gutter apart looking for you. Bad for business. I need gear, Jax, you say, getting straight to the point. Magnetic pitons, high-tension synthrope, a multi-spectrum visor, and a short-range jammer. Military grade. He cycles his optical sensors, focusing on you. That's a vertical assault kit. You planning on climbing the spire or something? He laughs, a harsh, grating sound like grinding gears. You don't answer. You place the cred chip on a workbench littered with tools and spare parts. Is this enough? Jax picks up the chip, slots it into his forearm, and his sensors glow as he reads the value. He lets out a low whistle. For this much, I'll throw in a complimentary grav chute, just in case you slip. He turns and lumbers toward the back of the workshop. You've got 5 minutes. Then I don't know you, and you were never here. He returns with a durable-looking pack, stuffing the requested items inside with practiced efficiency. As he hands it to you, he pauses, his metallic fingers gripping your arm. His optical sensors bore into you. "A word of advice, Wraith," he growls. "Whatever you're planning, understand this. Ethelred isn't just a corporation. They're a cult. The people at the top, they don't just believe in their work, they're fanatics. They talk about sculpting the future, about guiding humanity. They think they're gods." "I've heard," you say, your voice tight. "No, you haven't," Jax insists. "You've heard rumors. I've seen what they do to people who get in their way. They don't just kill you, they unmake you. Be careful." He releases your arm and steps back. "Now get out of my scrap heap." You shoulder the pack. It's heavy, a tangible weight of your insane commitment. You give Jax a curt nod and slip out of the workshop, disappearing into the metallic canyons of the scrap heaps once more. The substation is exactly where Amelia said it would be, a squat, windowless concrete blockhouse humming with power. The security is formidable. Laser grids, pressure plates, and an electronic lock tied directly into the enforcer network. "I am in position," you whisper into your comm. "Acknowledged," Amelia's voice replies. The lock system is a standard Ethelred encryption pattern, but it's reinforced with a quantum flux key that randomizes every 3 seconds. I will need to flood the local network node with decoy signals to create a momentary processing lag. It will give you a window of exactly 1.4 seconds to bypass the manual lock. Do not miss it. You press your ear to the cold metal door, your tools ready. You can hear the faint, high-pitched whine of the security systems inside. "Initiating network flood now," Amelia says. Your implants register a massive surge of garbage data in the local area. The whine of the security systems falters for a heartbeat. "The window is open," Amelia states. Your fingers fly. It's a delicate, high-speed dance. Tumblers click, circuits reroute. Your tool slides the final bolt free just as the whine returns to its normal pitch. 1.2 seconds. You slip inside, sealing the door behind you. You are in the heart of the beast's nervous system. Thick, insulated cables pulse with a visible blue energy, snaking across the walls and ceiling. The air crackles with ozone. In the center of the room is the conduit, a circular duct just wide enough for you to squeeze into. "The way is clear," you report, your voice low. "I'm going in." The conduit is shielded, but your biosigns will become intermittently visible to internal sensors as you pass by network junctions, Amelia warns. Move steadily and do not stop. Once you begin your ascent, you must not deviate. I will do what I can to mask your signature, but the final 70 floors will be a blind run. I will lose contact. Understood. "One more thing," she says, her voice losing its clinical edge again. "The man you are hunting, the lead bioresearcher at the Spire, the one in charge of the genetics program. His name is Mordecai Grimshaw." The name hits you like a punch to the gut. Grimshaw, not a common name. You remember seeing it on a research proposal on Kale's datapad weeks before he died. Kale had been interested in his work. What about him, you ask? His Ethelred profile is unusual. He was recruited from the Tidewater districts. His early life was marked by tragedy. His entire village, his family, was wiped out by a tsunami caused by seismic instability in the deep-sea trenches. His official biography states his life's work is dedicated to preventing such a catastrophe from ever happening again. A noble goal. A man driven by tragedy to save others. It doesn't fit with the cold, arrogant laughter you felt from the tide sculptor. Unless the goal justifies the means. Unless saving millions is worth the sacrifice of a few. He believes he is a savior, Amelia finishes. The most dangerous kind of monster is the one who believes he is the hero. The line goes dead. You are alone. You look at the dark, narrow opening of the conduit. It's a vertical tomb, a one-way trip. You secure the pack, activate the multi-spectrum visor, and begin your climb into the suffocating darkness, leaving the noise and grime of the gutter far below. You are no longer a wraith of the streets. You are ascending into the heavens of your enemy, a ghost climbing the spine of a glass and steel god. The ascent is a sensory deprivation nightmare. The only reality is the rough texture of the conduit walls under your gloved hands, the rhythmic burn in your shoulders and thighs, and the sound of your own breathing, loud and ragged in the enclosed space. The world is reduced to the few feet illuminated by your visor's low-light mode. Up, always up, a vertical mile of steel and darkness. Hours bleed into one another. You lose all track of time. The constant, low hum of the sonic dampening field vibrates through the conduit, a monstrous, unseen presence all around you. You focus on the task, on the memory of Lena's terrified face, on the feel of Kale's lighter in your pocket. It's a mantra against the crushing claustrophobia. Finally, your visor detects a change in the conduit's structure ahead. A grate. You've arrived. Floor 80. You carefully unfasten the grate, the bolts lubricated and silent, a testament to Ethelred's meticulous maintenance. You poke your head out, scanning the area. You're in a sterile white maintenance corridor. The air is cool, filtered, utterly clean. It smells of nothing. It's more unsettling than the gutter stench. Automated cleaning drones glide silently along the floor. Security cameras swivel with silent, precise movements. You time their patterns, slipping from the conduit when their optical sensors are turned away. You are a shadow in this world of pristine white. Amelia's schematics are burned into your memory. The primary genetics lab is 5 corridors down, through one security checkpoint. The sonic dampening generator room, your current location, is supposed to be low traffic. But as you move toward the exit, you hear voices. You press yourself into an alcove, your body flat against the wall. 2 researchers in pristine white lab coats walk past, their voices low and conspiratorial. The final alignment is tonight, the first one says. Grimshaw is accelerating the schedule. He says the oceanic pressure readings are critical. It's madness, the second one replies. his voice trembling slightly. The subjects aren't fully conditioned. The biouptake is only at 60%. The feedback could be catastrophic. His mind is made up. He says the loom has shown him the only path. The sacrifices are necessary for the greater good. They pass, their footsteps silent on the polished floor. You remain frozen, their words echoing in your mind. Tonight, they're activating whatever it is they've been building. Tonight, and the subjects, they're using people. The people from the database. The ones with the specific genetic markers. Your mission just went from infiltration to a race against time. You reach the security checkpoint. A laser grid protects a heavy blast door. A biometric scanner glows next to it. Bypassing this will be noisy and slow. You need another way. Your eyes scan the corridor. Above, a series of vents, an alternative route. You scale the wall with practiced ease, your magnetic pitons finding silent purchase. You slip into the ventilation system, another dark, cramped space. You navigate by the schematics in your head, following the ducts as they twist and turn. You find a grate directly above the main genetics lab. You look down. The sight steals your breath. It's a massive, cathedral-like space. In the center, a colossal device of gleaming chrome and pulsating blue lights hums with immense power. It looks like a giant, mechanical heart, with cables and conduits branching out like arteries. Floating in transparent containment pods that surround the central device are people. Dozens of them. They are unconscious. Wires and tubes attached to their bodies, their skin glowing with the same sickly green luminescence as the fluid from the vial. They are the subjects, the sacrifices, and standing on a raised platform before a bank of holographic controls is a man. He's tall, with an ascetic's sharp features and silver-gray hair. He stares at the device with an expression of rapt intensity, of absolute conviction. His hands move through the holographic controls, not like a scientist, but like a conductor leading an orchestra. A tide sculptor shaping his masterpiece. Mordecai Grimshaw. He's not alone. Lena is there. She stands off to the side, held between two imposing enforcers. She's not fighting. She looks pale, defeated, her eyes wide with horror as she stares at the people in the pods. Their genetic structure is perfectly aligned, you see, Grimshaw says, his voice calm and resonant, broadcast throughout the lab by hidden speakers. He's speaking to Lena. They are the key. Their unique biology allows them to resonate with the deep ocean currents, the very lifeblood of this planet. Through them, I can finally speak the planet's language. I can calm the tectonic plates, soothe the raging storms, and save billions of lives along the coastlines. You're killing them, Lena's voice is a choked whisper. A regrettable, but necessary, transformation, Grimshaw corrects gently. They will become part of something greater. Their individual consciousness will be subsumed into a planetary harmony. A small price to pay for the salvation of humanity. He turns his head slightly, and a cold shock goes through you. He's holding something in his hand, a multifaceted crystal that seems to drink the light. the Chronometer of Whispers. Your foolish attempts to expose me, your little attacks on the Port Authority, they were all foreseen, Grimshaw says, his gaze fixed on Lena. Every action creates a ripple, a thread in the loom. I have learned to read the pattern. Your thread and your brother S before you led me to a few loose ends. But now you will bear witness to the culmination of his unwitting contribution. Kale, he was one of them, one of the people with the right genetic markers. That's why Ethelred hired him, why they watched him. His investigation was what got him killed. His blood was, you have to act. Now, you kick the grate open. It clatters to the floor below, the sound echoing in the vast, sterile lab. Every head snaps up. The enforcers raise their rifles. Grimshaw looks up at you, not with surprise, but with a flicker of mild annoyance, as if you're a fly buzzing at a banquet. The neon wraith, he says, a faint, condescending smile on his lips. Another thread I had not accounted for. No matter. The tapestry is large enough to accommodate one more minor blemish before it is complete. You drop from the vent, landing in a crouch on the polished floor, your kinetic pistol in your hand. Let her go, Grimshaw. Let her go, he repeats, his smile widening. But she is my honored guest. She, like you, will have a front row seat to the dawn of a new age. The two enforcers holding Lena level their rifles at you. Two more emerge from the shadows, flanking Grimshaw's platform. You're outnumbered, outgunned, and in the heart of the enemy's fortress. The final act has begun. The first shot is not yours. It's a sizzling bolt of blue plasma from an enforcer's rifle that explodes against the wall behind you. You're already moving, a blur of motion, diving behind a bank of servers. The pristine lab erupts into a chaos of shrieking alarms and weapon fire. Kill the intruder, Grimshaw's calm voice commands over the din. But do not damage the subjects. You peer out from behind your cover. The enforcers advance, their movements coordinated, professional. They're trying to box you in. You are the neon wraith, a master of stealth and ambush. But in this wide open, brightly lit space, there are no shadows to hide in. You have to create your own. You fire your kinetic pistol, not at the enforcers, but at the overhead light fixtures. The slugs punch through the panels, and a shower of sparks rains down, plunging half the lab into semi-darkness. The emergency lights kick in, casting long, distorted shadows. This is your element. You ghost from your cover, using the newly formed darkness. An enforcer rounds the server bank, his rifle sweeping the area. You're already above him, clinging to a thick power conduit on the ceiling. You drop down behind him, a whisper of movement. Your arm snakes around his neck, a precisely applied pressure point at the base of his skull. He crumples without a sound. 1 down, 3 to go. The others are smarter. They form a triangle, covering all angles. You can hear their comms chatter in your ear, a stream of coordinates and firing solutions. They're adapting. You need a bigger distraction. Your eyes fall on the containment pods. Grimshaw's order, do not damage the subjects. It's a restriction, a weakness. You break from cover, sprinting toward the central device. Plasma bolts stitch the air around you, superheating the floor. You slide behind one of the pods, the unconscious face of a young woman staring blankly through the transparent wall. You place your hand on the pod's control panel. Stop, one of the enforcers yells. You'll cause a feedback loop. Call them off, Grimshaw, you shout, your fingers hovering over the emergency release. A foolish gambit, Grimshaw's voice echoes, still maddeningly calm. He hasn't moved from his platform. You are assuming I am unwilling to sacrifice one piece for the sake of the whole. You overestimate your leverage. He's bluffing, or is he? The fanaticism Jax warned you about. You don't have time to find out. The two enforcers who were holding Lena are advancing on you. The third is trying to flank you. You're pinned. It is at that moment Lena acts. With her captors distracted, she stomps down hard on the foot of the enforcer to her right. He grunts in pain, his grip loosening for a fraction of a second. It's all she needs. She wrenches herself free, grabs a heavy data slate from a nearby console, and smashes it into the helmet of the other enforcer. The visor cracks. He stumbles back, disoriented. The distraction is all you need. You vault over the control panel, firing your kinetic pistol. One slug hits the disoriented enforcer in the chest, the kinetic force throwing him back against the wall. The other one turns his rifle on Lena. You fire again, hitting his weapon and sending it spinning from his grasp. You're on him in a second, a flurry of precise, debilitating strikes. He goes down. Now it's just you, Lena, and Grimshaw. He still stands on his platform, watching the scene unfold with an air of detached curiosity. The last enforcer stands beside him, rifle at the ready. Impressive, Grimshaw says, and for the first time, a hint of something other than calm enters his voice. Irritation. You are a chaotic variable. You disrupt the elegance of the pattern. This isn't a pattern, it's a slaughterhouse, Lena spits, her chest heaving. She runs to your side, her eyes blazing with a newfound fire. Semantics, Grimshaw dismisses. He raises the chronometer of whispers. You see only the immediate, the small. You lack perspective. Let me show you. The air in the lab grows heavy. The crystal in his hand pulses with a brilliant white light. And then the whispers begin. Not just in your head this time. They are everywhere. The residual psychic energy of the entire building, of everyone who has ever walked these halls, focused and amplified by the chronometer and Grimshaw's machine. Flashes of pain from the subjects in the pods, the terror of a researcher who discovered the truth and was silenced, the cold ambition of Ethelred executives, decades of secrets and suffering, all crashing down on you at once. You stagger, clutching your head, the cacophony overwhelming your senses. This is his weapon. He uses the building's own history, its own pain, as a psychic assault. But you have a history of your own. You have ghosts that are far more powerful than these faint echoes. You focus on one image, Kale's face, on one feeling, the crushing weight of your guilt. Your personal pain is an anchor in the storm of whispers. You push back, gritting your teeth. Lena is not so fortunate. She cries out, falling to her knees, her hands pressed against her ears. You see, Grimshaw says, taking a step forward, the weight of consequence is too much for most to bear. It is why men like me must make the hard decisions. I will bear the burden so that others may live in peace. You're not a savior, you growl, straightening up, your pistol aimed at his heart. You're a monster, hiding behind a good excuse. An opinion you are entitled to, he says smoothly. He glances at the final enforcer. Contain them. The enforcer steps forward, but before he can raise his rifle, a small, silver object flashes through the air. It strikes the enforcer's helmet with a sharp crack. It's Kale's lighter. You threw it. The blow is insignificant, but the distraction is enough. You fire. The kinetic slug takes the enforcer in the throat, and he falls from the platform with a sickening thud. Now it is only you and him. A confrontation not of weapons, but of wills. You charge the platform. He doesn't move to stop you. He simply holds the chronometer aloft, his eyes glowing with a faint blue light, mirroring the machine behind him. He is connected to it, drawing power from it. You leap onto the platform, your pistol ready. But you don't shoot. You can't. Killing him won't stop the machine. You need to break his control. Your brother was special, you know, he says to the kneeling Lena, his voice now amplified, booming. He's speaking to her, but his eyes are locked on you. His genetic code was the key, the final piece of the puzzle. He was to be my first and most perfect convert. But he was weak. He resisted the call of the loom. He saw the beauty of the tapestry, but chose to cling to his own insignificant thread. He chose humanity, you snarl. He chose sentiment, Grimshaw counters, his voice rising in a crescendo. And for that, he was cut from the weave, a necessary, if regrettable, revision. The confession hangs in the air. He killed Kale. Not Ethelred, him. He murdered him because Kale wouldn't be a part of his grand design. The rage that fills you is a white-hot nova. It burns away the whispers, the pain, the guilt. It is pure, clean, and absolute. But as you raise your pistol, your finger tightening on the trigger, Lena cries out. No, don't. You pause, glancing at her. She's on her feet now, her face streaked with tears, but her eyes are clear. She's holding the data slate she used to attack the enforcer. An image is displayed on its cracked screen. The cipher, she says, her voice shaking but firm. It's not just a key. It's a failsafe. Kale built it. He knew something like this might happen. It's not meant to destroy the machine. It's meant to rewrite its purpose. She looks at Grimshaw, a new understanding dawning on her face. He doesn't want to just control the tides. He wants to become them. The machine isn't a controller. It's a transference device. He's trying to upload his consciousness, to merge with the subjects and the planet itself. The ultimate act of ego, to become a god. She is clever, Grimshaw says, a genuine note of admiration in his voice, a worthy legacy for your brother. He turns his full attention to you. But she is too late. The sequence has been initiated. In moments, I will ascend. The machine behind him, begins to glow brighter, the hum rising to an almost unbearable pitch. The subjects in the pods begin to convulse. You look from Grimshaw's beatific, insane smile to Lena's desperate face, to the dying people in the pods. Killing him is not the answer. Justice is not the answer. Not now. Survival is. You make a decision. You lunge forward, but not at Grimshaw. You tackle the main console, smashing your body into the holographic controls. The projections flicker and die. An alarm, higher and more frantic than before, screams through the lab. "What have you done?" Grimshaw shrieks, his composure finally shattering. "You've destabilized the energy matrix. The feedback loop, it will kill us all. It's better than letting you become a god," you shout back over the alarm. You grab the chronometer from his now unresisting hand. As your fingers close around it, a final, powerful echo floods your mind. It's not a whisper. It's Kale's voice, clear as day, a memory from the crystal itself, from the moment Grimshaw killed him. "You're wrong, Mordecai," Kale's voice says, full of defiance. "You can't force harmony. It has to be chosen. You don't understand the currents. You just want to dominate them. That's not control. It's tyranny." The machine sparks violently. A wave of energy erupts from it, throwing you from the platform. You land hard on the floor, the chronometer skittering away. The containment pods crack, the luminescent fluid spilling out onto the floor. The ceiling above begins to groan, metal stressing and buckling. The spire is coming apart. Lena is at your side, hauling you to your feet. "We have to go. Now." You look back. Grimshaw is on his knees, surrounded by arcing electricity. A look of utter disbelief on his face as his grand design crumbles into chaos around him. He is just a man, after all. A man consumed by his own grief, who tried to remake the world so he would never have to feel helpless again. You grab Kale's lighter from the floor where it fell. Then you turn and run, pulling Lena with you, as the heart of the spire explodes behind you in a blinding flash of green and blue light. The escape from the dying spire is a blur of fire, smoke, and screaming metal. You drag Lena through collapsing corridors, dodging falling debris and bursts of flame from ruptured power conduits. The grav chute jacks gave you saves your lives, a desperate leap from a shattered window on the 60th floor, a sickening plummet, and then a jolt as the chute deploys, guiding your chaotic fall into a relatively soft landing in a pile of refuse in an alleyway 3 blocks away. You lie there for a moment, gasping for breath, the roar of the spire's death agony echoing through the city. Sirens converge from all directions. The gutter's embrace is in chaos. Lena pushes herself up, her face smudged with soot, her eyes wide. "We did it," she whispers, half in disbelief. "We stopped him." "We did," you say, your body aching. You look up at the spire. The top third of the building is engulfed in flames, a funeral pyre for Mordecai Grimshaw's ambition. The lives he was sacrificing are lost, but the catastrophe he was about to unleash upon the world, the birth of a machine god, has been averted. You get to your feet, every muscle protesting. You have to disappear before the entire district is locked down. The Woven Willow Inn is your only sanctuary. Compromised or not, it's the only place to go. You and Lena move through the back alleys, sticking to the shadows, two ghosts slipping through a city in panic. When you finally reach the inn, the street outside is eerily quiet. The chaos is elsewhere. You push the door open, the little bell chiming softly, a surreal note of peace in the madness. The inn is dark, save for the glow of a single monitor behind the counter. Amelia's voice, quiet and calm as ever, fills the room. Welcome back. I have taken the liberty of scrubbing your ident signatures from the Ethelred network. As far as the official record is concerned, you both died in the spire. A tragic accident. Amelia, you start, relief washing over you. Mordecai Grimshaw is dead, she continues. Ethelred Consortium is in disarray. Their stock is plummeting. Their dark secrets are about to be laid bare. The cipher your brother created, it did more than just offer a way to rewrite the machine. It contained a dead man's switch. When the Spire's network collapsed, it automatically decrypted and released all of Kale's investigative files to every major news outlet on the planet. He got his story out after all. Lena lets out a sob, a mixture of grief and pride, and sinks into one of the worn armchairs. You walk to the counter. Your journey began here, seeking answers about one death. It ended high above the city, preventing thousands more. You place the cracked chronometer and the tarnished silver lighter on the polished wood. They are relics of a life that is now over. What happened to you? Lena's voice is small. She's looking at you, her eyes searching your face. Kale, he talked about you all the time. He said you were the best, the sharpest, the one person he could always count on. Her voice breaks. Why weren't you there for him? The question you've been running from for 6 months. The question that has fueled every drink, every reckless choice. You can't run from it anymore. You turn to face her, the shadows in the quiet room feeling heavier than any darkness in the spire. I failed him, you say, your voice raw, stripped of all artifice. He called me. He needed backup. I was indulging, feeling sorry for myself in the bottom of a glass. I ignored the call. By the time I tried to call back, he was gone. His death is my fault, Lena. I was arrogant, and I was weak, and your brother paid the price for it. The confession is a blade in your own gut, but it's a clean cut. The truth, all of it. Lena just looks at you, tears streaming down her face. She doesn't scream. She doesn't rage. She just nods, a slow, heartbreaking acceptance. He wouldn't blame you, she whispers. He would have forgiven you. He knew people weren't perfect. That's what he was fighting against. Grimshaw's obsession with perfection. Kale believed in people, in all their flaws. Her forgiveness is a heavier weight than any condemnation. It doesn't absolve you, but it changes the nature of your guilt. It's not a chain to drag you down anymore. It's a debt to be repaid. Not through vengeance, but by living a life Kale would have been proud of. You stay at the inn for days, hidden from the world as the city heals, and the story of Ethelred's fall becomes history. You and Lena talk. You tell her stories about Kale, the ones he never told her. She fills in the gaps of your understanding, painting a picture of the brother she knew. In sharing your grief, you both begin to heal. On the third day, Amelia's voice informs you that the Sovereign Debt Council, in light of Ethelred's collapse and the exposure of their predatory practices, has declared a jubilee. All outstanding debts across the gutter's embrace are wiped clean. A new beginning for everyone. You stand at the door of the woven willow, ready to leave. Lena will stay. Amelia has offered her sanctuary, a place to finish her brother's work, to use her skills to help people, not as a vengeful phantom, but as a force for good. Where will you go? Lena asks. I don't know, you say, and for the first time in a long time, the uncertainty feels like freedom, not a threat. Somewhere quiet, Amelia speaks one last time. A cup of tea for the road, she offers. A single steaming cup appears on the counter. You smile. Just water this time, Amelia. You step out into the gutter's embrace. The rain has stopped. The sun, a pale, watery disk, is breaking through the clouds for the first time in memory. The air, while still thick with the smells of the city, feels cleaner. The ever-present hum of the district is still there, but it sounds different now. Less like the thrum of a machine, more like the steady heartbeat of a living thing. You are no longer the neon wraith. That ghost died in the fire of the spire. You are someone new, someone forged in failure and loss, but redefined by a choice to be better. You don't know what the future holds, what threads the loom will weave for you. But for the first time, you feel ready to face it, one step at a time, with clear eyes and a steady hand. The path forward is unwritten, and it is yours to walk.